Hello everyone, this is Jotto, and welcome to the first of 11 set review videos. Yeah, we're splitting these up. This is the same style as we're doing with GVG, which was 9 class and then 2 neutral, only this time we're splitting it into commons and rares and then epics and legendaries when it comes to neutral, and not this like strange 4 mana cost divide thing. Anyway, I'm being joined by the D.Lineman from the NA Acebreakers team. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, that is the shortest introduction of anyone I've ever brought onto the show. Anyway, so yeah, now because we're doing just commons and rares, we're literally going to go through all of these and just say constructed, yes or no, arena, yes or no, and if there's no all across the board, we'll talk about it a little bit, and if there's a yes, then there'll be an explanation. Because some of these cards are really bad because they are commons and they're usually designed for arena. Anyway, so if something fails the arena test, it's a truly awful card, and if something passes the constructed test, then it's a truly amazing card. With that in mind, let's start with the lowly squire. 1 mana, 1/2, common with inspire, gain 1 attack. Now we get to mention the inspire mechanic. Now the inspire mechanic, something goes off whenever you hero power. I'm going to say constructed no, and arena yes?
I'm going to say constructed no, and I say arena definitely yes. Like, I'm not even questioning its use in arena.
It does interrupt your 2-drop, but it's a playable 1-drop, and I'll take it.
It trades up with every 2-drop with your hero
mage.
power. Well, if you're playing mage or druid or rogue, which are 3 of the most popular.
That is true. So yeah, I'll agree with you there. You are not an undertaker. Stop
yes,
it.
It's well designed.
You're a bad version of the bad Undertaker. Anyway, not much else to say about that. Was this the first card that was revealed?
It was among the first for sure, definitely. Yeah,
definitely among the first. But yeah, bad card is bad as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, Gadgetan Jouster, 1 mana, 1/2, another one. Common with Battle Cry. Joust, also known as reveal a minion in each deck your minion card. They refer to it as Joust, just make it a keyword. Come on.
Yeah, well, the problem is that it's going to be a Battle Cry on minions, but it's useful on some spells, but not as a Battle Cry, and they just don't want to make it ambiguous.
Oh god, they should just call it Joust.
They also don't want to do Battle Cry : Joust :
They could have just called it like, yeah, I get, oh god, Blizzard, just
Logic.
Whatever. Anyway, which means I'm going to refer to it as Joust, because I can't be bothered to review, I can't be bothered to say that every time we come across a Joust card. Anyway, the point is, if you win the Joust, it becomes a 2/3 for 1 mana. I'm going to say constructed no, arena yes.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think arena yes, simply because it's a 1/2 for 1, which is okay.
That can be a 2/3 sometimes.
Right, and it's difficult. It's difficult to really evaluate how useful this Joust is going to be because it's on a 1-drop. And if you're running a deck with 1-drops like this, how often are you winning a Joust?
Now, I know Nax Rammus has traditionally been the power level fun police of Hearthstone. However, in this case, Zombie Chow is a better early drop for a control deck because it's reliable.
Absolutely.
So Gadgetan Jousters doesn't get it. Like, it sounds like a good idea, but the problem is it kind of fights with itself. Like, how bad are you going to feel if you reveal a Gadgetan Jouster off another Gadgetan?
Right, and it's like your deck is clearly going to be curving lower because you're running 1-drops.
Yeah, and if you're running a defensive 1-drop, run Zombie Chow.
Yeah, for sure.
Alright. We're running through these. Tournament Attendee. 1 mana, 2/1, common with taunt. I'm not even going to say what I think about this because you guys should know.
Yeah, it's bad. Although, to be fair, a card like this was going to come eventually.
It would.
We were going to have a 2/1 for 1 with taunt eventually.
When I'm thinking of new cards to come out, you know what I'm thinking of? A reverse Gold Chiron.
I mean, yeah, but like we expected it. Like you can't be upset about it because it just fits
it fits the
family.
It's just kind of funny that it exists. It's just like, sure. Also, why does a tournament attendee have taunt? It doesn't mean he's dangerous.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway.
Why does anything with taunt have more attack than health? Because
then you have to attack him, right? Because he's gonna hurt.
Okay.
Better question: why does a Mogashan Warden have taunt? What is forcing you to attack that guy?
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't hit me with a hammer, you can't move. But yeah, anyway. Flame Juggler, 2 mana, 2/3 common with Battle Cry. Deal 1 damage to random enemy. I'm gonna say constructed, no. Arena, yes.
I think arena definitely yes. I think constructed maybe.
No.
I'm not willing to commit to no yet because I can conceive a scenario where you would want to run both this and Knife Juggler. And that's the only scenario where you'd run this card is if you're also running Knife Juggler and you just want to fit more juggles in your deck.
I don't even think that's true because it's like you just wouldn't it just be better to play like more 1-drops and some other high damage and high value 2-drops instead of a Flame Juggler trigger?
I mean, we live in a world where we have aggro paladins running things like Blessing of Kings when they could be even greedier and run Flame Juggler instead.
Oh my god. We're also living in a world where the standard stats for 3-drops are 3/4. That is not a healthy environment for a 2/3.
Yeah.
Like 2/3s used to be better than 3/2s. I actually think they're worse now. Although
well,
maybe.
I mean, the only 3/2 that comes to mind that I enjoy playing in my decks for 2 mana is Knife Juggler. And when you're comparing cards to Knife Juggler, you're not really giving them a fair shake.
Are there any 2/3s you can conceivably think of that aren't Sunfury Protector because that isn't a 2-drop?
I mean, Flame Juggler now.
Oh, okay. I see how it is. Alright. Anyway, I'm going to say no because I think the trigger is too random to conceivably play it. I think there's better quality 2-drops in my opinion. You've got Haunted Creeper, Mad Scientist if you're playing secret decks. You've got Knife Juggler, as you said, Paladin and Shielded Minibot.
Yeah. In all fairness, in this same set, most of the classes, if I recall correctly, got pretty good 2-drops. So
the class cards are pretty high quality in this set, as a general rule, although there are some very alarming exceptions.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of 2-drops, Bone Guard Lieutenant, 2 mana, 3/2, common with Inspire, gain +1 health. I'm going to say constructed no, arena yes. Definitely yes in arena.
Yeah, it's going to be great in arena. I have a hard time imagining how this is going to fit into constructed decks, but great.
I can't see where this would be good. I think some people were saying it's like, yeah, you get like value out of your hero part. Yeah, kind of, but as I said, 3/4 for 3.
Right. It's my general like rule when it comes to evaluating Inspire cards is obviously most of these Inspire cards don't have abilities that are particularly game changing on their own.
Yeah.
Though they're forcing you to play behind curve for the most part.
Yeah.
So for me, when I evaluate an Inspire card, I'm thinking about what kind of board state with multiple Inspire effects can truly win you a game.
We'll see later on with a couple of the class cards especially, but the way I'm evaluating good Inspire cards is ones that can be played without the Inspire on the same turn to less value but still playable, and ones that can be played with the Inspire for 2 extra mana and do something really good in certain classes. That's what I'm looking at for Inspire cards, because otherwise it just feels a bit sluggish.
Oh yeah, but then by those metrics, you're probably gonna underrate every Inspire card that costs less than 4 mana.
Maybe, but that can't. Anyway. Still going. Anyway, there's some...
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I've never been interrupted by a cat before, that's impressive. Anyway, so... I think there's actually a 3-drop Inspire card coming up, which I quite like. Although Bone Guard Lieutenant kind of fails that test a little bit for me, because it's good without it, in my opinion. 2 mana, 3/2 vanilla is fine in arena, especially, but in constructed, if it's possible, if it has something extra. Yeah. But the problem is when you do Inspire, oh look, it's a 4 mana, 3/3.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that its Inspire ability doesn't really synergize with anything, right? And that's like what you're looking for a constructed. You're looking for cards that work good in concert with each other.
They're either incredibly good on their own or stuff that can be used to synergize.
Right.
Anyway, speaking of synergy, you're forced to synergize this thing, the Lance Bearer. Mm-hmm. Now, the Lance Bearer is a 2 mana 1/2 common with Battle Cry. Give a friendly minion +2 attack. Now, this is permanent. This is the old Dark Iron Dwarf effect. I'm gonna say arena, yes, constructed, slow, but I think it might see some play in some weird Divine Shield Paladin deck.
I think it fits in Constructed. I think it fits in aggro decks. I mean, if you can play a 2-1 for 1 that gives +2 attack for a single turn, you could play a 1-2 for 2 that has that +2 attack stick permanently. But again, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It would its best use is with Divine Shield effects.
I'm thinking with Divine Shield effects because this is something that came up a lot with the old Dark Iron Dwarf, where the +2 attack would sometimes stick for 2 turns when you're just going to the face with it, but you'd often use it for trading, which meant when Dark Iron Dwarf was changed, the 3 buff cards were changed at the same time, which was not Sun Fury, Shadow Sun Cleric, Defender of Argus, and Dark Iron. Defender wasn't really changed, but it kind of was. But Dark Iron got affected less simply because the effect being permanent wasn't that necessary, apart from Argent Squire. That was the card that retained its buff for 2 or 3 turns sometimes.
Yeah, the only thing that's like really hurting this card though is the fact that it only has 1 attack, right? And if we're talking about, yeah, like if we're talking about this being used in aggressive decks, this does half as much damage as Abusive Sergeant. It does half as much damage as everything that's being played at least.
It also
on
needs
turns 1 and
something
2.
else. It can't target itself.
Right. So yeah. So you needed to have had a 1-drop, and after that you need this to stick for 4 turns to do the same damage that something does over that's anything else does over 2 or maybe 1 turn.
Yeah, it's a bit awkward. I think
right.
it might see some play, but it's going to be in a deck with lots of sticky minions, maybe. Maybe if Zoo has some sort of ridiculous or 1-drop scheme, they can maybe make it work with eggs and things. I don't know. I'm stretching.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing with Zoo is that I find that in Zoo, the best value for this is like after an implosion. Like if you could put this on an imp, then that makes the turns incredibly awkward for the opponent. But still, I don't see Zoo running this.
Exactly.
I think it's mostly going to be used in Paladin aggro decks, which is nothing to sleep on either, though.
It's just, it means I mean, there's a lot of cards in this set which are kind of strangely Paladin cards, if you've noticed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ones. Speaking of strangely Paladin cards, Silverhand Regent, a 3-mana 3/3 common with Inspire Summon a 1/1 Silverhand Recruit. Now, ironically, this is not a Paladin card, but I actually think it's a Paladin card. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm going to say Constructed, maybe to yes, and Arena yes.
Same. Yeah, absolutely same. I think this Inspire effect is really good.
Yeah.
For a 3-drop.
The reason I said Paladin, by the way, for anyone wondering, is one is Silverhand Recruit, which means it benefits from Quartermaster and the new 2/4, which I'm not sure how good it is, but the point is it benefits from it. And the other thing is you can play it as a 3-mana 3/3, which in Paladin isn't awful, because they don't have that many 3-drops. They have situational 3-drops, but they don't have that many besides Muster for Battle. Or you can play it as a 5-mana 3/3 with 2 1/1s that they then have to deal with, and it's only 1 card. They can only deal. It's like a bigger Muster for Battle, basically, on turn 5.
Yeah, this is a good card. This is a good card. What's interesting about it too is that there's only one other neutral card that has any potential at all with synergizing with Silverhand Recruits, and it's an epic that gives you a random. It gives you a random Paladin card.
We'll get to that a bit later. It's a 6-drop, right? Yeah.
Right.
That'd be really funny if they.
So I find it really interesting that they chose Silverhand Recruit to be the 1/1 that someone's run. I mean, obviously, this is a WoW.
It's a WoW thing.
Yeah, but it's still interesting that that's what they chose for the Inspire effect.
Yeah, I guess it fits the theme. There are some Paladin themes in the Argent tournament, as what the Grand Tournament's based on. I still think TGT is the worst acronym I've ever seen. Like, that's what they're going with. Some people are saying GT. No, it is TGT, which means I'm going to have a video in the future called GVGVTGT. Say that 3 times fast. But, yeah, it's going to be a funny title. But, yeah, the acronym, though. But, I really like some of the designs in this set, honestly. But the name... Alright. Speaking of funny names, Silent Knight. There is no Holy Knight in this set, as far as I know, right?
No, there is one, I thought.
I think there's some holy-ish knights, but I don't think there's one actually called Holy Knight. You look while I read out the card. 3-mana 2/2 common with Stealth and Divine Shield. Now, before I give my verdict on this, I'm just going to say, put this next to Shade of Naxxramas. It's not even close.
Yeah, this card...
Arena maybe, but Constructed no way.
I don't even think I'd use it in Arena. Like, to be completely honest, yeah. Like, to compare this to a 3-mana 2/2 with Stealth and Divine Shield. I'm willing to ignore the Stealth portion of it for Arena purposes, because Stealth on a 3-drop isn't that great.
Yo, leave the Jungle Panthers alone.
but uh, but compare this to what's the 4 mana 3/3, the Silver Moon Guardian. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but every time I play that, every time I draft that card, I don't win that arena run. Like I don't get 12
It's
wins.
an okay card, but it's not good. It's overhyped. I think people
Exactly.
have stopped picking it as much as they used to with new sets coming out. It was the
Yeah.
kind of thing where it was good back in vanilla, but not anymore.
Yeah. Now this does pass the test of because it seems that with the common cards at least, when Blizzard is releasing a new card that is 1 mana greater with a similar effect, they change the stats by +1/+1. Right. That's what we've seen a lot, especially with the Chillwind Yeti branch. Right. This card they decided to give it -1/-1 and also give it stealth. So it seems to be a bit more valuable
Yeah.
than Silver Moon Guardian by
I
those
think
means.
they've
but-
realized that +1/+1 does not equal 1 mana.
Right,
most
that's
of the
another
time.
thing. Is that the valuation was just wrong before. But
Yeah, I mean, the whole evaluating cards based on their cost and their perceived value was something which kind of worked back in base set because the mechanics were less complicated to look at.
Right.
Whereas as time goes on, whenever I see anyone trying to evaluate whether a card is good based on the stats on the card, I'm like, good luck evaluating the abilities. That's like what I say, but yeah, with stealth, I think stealth on a small dude is not as important as on bigger
Absolutely
ones.
not.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's
as
going to
a-
be that guy who kills you with a 6/6 in arena.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
on curve.
But the only difference, like you brought it up before, put it up next to Shade of Naxxramas. Shade of Naxxramas grows. You know, it's like
Constantly.
yeah. So there's definitely value to that remaining stealth.
Exactly. Anyway, speaking of mini versions of existing cards, Argent Horse Rider, 3 mana common, they're all common. I'll just mention when we get to the rares. 2/1 with Divine Shield in charge. This looks remarkably similar to Argent Commander, a card which in the past has dominated formats.
And it's halved. Everything about it is halved.
Yes,
Argent
it's
Commander.
it's half an Argent Commander. Now I'm going to say constructed, no way. Arena, I actually don't mind this. Bluegill is already sometimes useful, and with Divine Shield, you can go to the face with it against ping, hero powers, and it also kills Knife Juggler.
Right, Bluegill is sometimes useful, but it's still low tier. Like,
It's
let's
low
be real.
tier, but part of the reason it's low tier is because you can never play it as a minion.
Yeah. Yeah, now, okay, so what makes this much different?
Because the Divine Shield stops it from dying to hero powers, that's the main thing. It's better than
does-
Bluegill.
It's still bad. I'm
Okay.
not playing this in either format. It's not a good card.
Yeah, I don't think
like
anyone's
Argent
gonna
Commander
make it
is fine, but the big difference that Argent Commander has 4 health. So the thing is that at 6 mana, it having 4 health is much more relevant
4
than
attack.
something or 4 attack. I mean, it having 4 attack at 6 mana is much more relevant than having 2 attack at 3 mana.
Kind of. If this did, I mean, they couldn't make it have 3 because Wolf Rider, but
Right.
although given some of the other cards in this set, but but yeah, I think it's a mini Argent Commander. It's just half an Argent Commander. It should have
Yeah, I
been
mean,
called the Argent Horse Hoffman or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it fits. It's just not good. Yeah.
That's
It is what it
often-
is.
Yeah, halving the stats is not. Yeah. Anyway.
It trades very well with Ice Rager.
Oh god. All right. So 3 mana Ice Rager, 3 mana 5/2. Common with blank. Oh god, it even has it even has a similar name.
Yeah.
What? Okay,
I
first of all,
understand the
this is,
humor.
Is this playable in arena? Yes, I'm gonna say. It's
Um,
not a high pick, but it's decent.
I think it's pretty much in the same tier as. I mean, it's obviously better than Magma Rager, but it's close to
Obviously.
being in the same tier.
It's pickable though, as Magma Ranger really isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd rather pick this than a lot of other 3-drops in arena. Well, maybe not a lot, but a good
Or
amount.
even a lot of other commons. But yeah, you put it next to Magma Ranger. There's gonna be a draft where it's like that. But anyway, so besides the random Shadow Flame guy celebrating with his Rager deck, this is just like, why does this exist? The thing is, I think when this came out, we had a big discussion about it, and someone was just like, there's no point in complaining if it's replacing a just completely unusable card. But then you realize they could have just buffed it, which means this is literally in the set to take up space.
Yeah.
That's
There's
the
that.
only reason
also-
it exists.
Okay, so I heard one argument that there's no confirming whether or not this was the mindset behind designing this card, but if it were the mindset, it doesn't make me as upset as I was when I first saw it. But the mindset being that a new player who's just starting to play the game, they're going to have a hard time evaluating cards, just straight up, right? And for someone who's just looking at the game, if they can have a sense of understanding that they come up with themselves about something about this game, that draws them closer to the game and makes them feel better about it, right? So they can look at this card, look at Magma Rager, and say, Ice Rager is definitely better than Magma Rager, and I know this to be true. And that sense of confidence about something is it's very good for a new player. That I'm okay with, if it were to stop at Ice Rager.
Oh, there's some worse examples in this. Oh god, Ice Raider is a joke, but we're getting to a card in a couple ones which is just insulting.
Right, exactly,
Like,
yeah.
It's, whatever. Moving on from Ice Rager, Magma Rager version 2. You know, next year we're going to get Lightning Rager, 3 mana 5/3.
3 mana 5/3. Oh man, with charge.
Yeah. Oh god, anyway. Dragon Hawk Rider. This is an interesting one. 3 mana 3/3, Inspire, gain Wind Fury this turn. I'm gonna say constructed, no arena, yes.
Yep.
This
Yeah,
is a
it
cool
seems to be a
card.
common theme with these commons, right? That they're not that impactful and constructed.
This
yet
has
they
been
seem good
called
in
the
arena.
Grand Arena set
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a very good arena card, to be honest. Because a 3/3 for 3, it stands up very well with everything that's being played on the first couple of turns.
Besides Spider Tank, but yeah, it's possible.
Well, yeah.
Is the point.
So you use your Inspire card, and more often than not, you can clear their board with this card.
It will kill 2 things.
Yeah.
Like 2/3s are more popular than 3/2s a lot in arena sometimes, depending just because there's a lot more decent ones. But it'll just trade decently. It also lets you kill a Harvest Golem straight up. Like you can actually, if you're playing Mage, you can attack the Harvest Golem, ping it with your Hero Power, and attack again.
Yep.
Which is potential 2-for-1s there. It also means you can attack something else, ping the Spider Tank, and kill it.
Yep.
Like, you get 2 attacks in, because if you gain Wind Fury, you gain another attack.
Yeah, and obviously the main comparison to be given to this card is that to Thrallmar Farseer, the 2/3 with Wind Fury for 3.
One more stat, but you have to invest into it.
Right, one more stat you have to invest to it, but that 3 attack is nothing to scoff at,
I
right?
think
Like
3/3s honestly are better than Thrallmar anyway.
right, and that's the thing is that a Thrallmar being a 2/3, it's having a difficult time killing things with its Wind Fury, right? And that was the major drawback to it.
You have to buff it with something.
Right. But now you have a 3/3, so it actually kills things. 2 of them at that. So
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a decent card in arena. Constructed, no way. But yeah. All right. Okay. All right. On to the Evil Heckler. 4 mana 5/4 with Taunt. Now, some of you may recognize this as a certain Booty Bay Guard. Is it Booty Bay?
Booty Bay Bodyguard.
Booty Bay Bodyguard. Yeah, I keep forgetting the name of that damn thing. But anyway, now this is just really. Also, why does a Necromancer have Taunt?
This card is actually a bit offensive, right?
This actually gets me irritated because it's like, this is just what Booty Bay Bodyguard should have been. The point is, you can buff cards. I know Blizzard has forgotten that this game's a digital card game sometimes, but you are allowed to conceivably change the stats on cards.
Right, exactly. I mean, they've done this right before. So the thing is that like going back to the Ice Rager point about like the learning experience for a new player, that's not something that should be ignored, right? That's a good goal. That's a good goal to have, is to make new players feel comfortable with the game. But you don't need to do this with multiple cards in order to achieve that goal, especially if you're going to take a card that was before bad and make it borderline playable. This is borderline playable.
And it's a new card. The funny thing is, it's just like, it's just lazy design. Someone was saying, oh yeah, all the money they're making off a common, but it's just like, that's not the point. The point is there are two slots in this entire set of the 130 cards, which are quite literally useless. They should have been something else. They should have just buffed their existing cards and then, it's just annoying.
Yeah, because now what they've done is they've made it so that Magma Rager and Booty Bay Bodyguard, there is like no conceivable reason to pick those cards unless you really want to have the bodyguard for Joust. Like that's it.
Oh, don't go there.
Like that's
Alright,
it.
Magma Rager is literally worse than Ice Rager in every single conceivable fashion.
Yeah, and that's
Apart from
problematic. That's
killing
very
your
problematic.
own guy with...
Colt Master. It
I,
synergizes worse for Colt Master. That's it.
congratulations, we figured it out.
Yeah.
This was starting to remind me of a conversation I had with Mechanical Yeti, but yeah, it's... Mechanical Yeti at least had the kind of like...
It's still,
If you don't want to play with RNG, then you play normal Yeti, so it was kind of conceivable, although the mech thing was still a bit too much. But this is just... This is straight up, and it's just insulting, really. It's really annoying. It's kind of sad because it's like, if this was in GVG, I wouldn't care. But this is an actually good set.
Yeah.
Anyway. Tournament Medic. 4 mana, 1/8 with Inspire. Restore 2 health to your hero. This is awful.
Yeah, wouldn't use it in construct. I wouldn't use it in either. Yeah, I don't think it's not useful in arena because it's not doing much that impacts the board at all. Actually, at all, right? In constructed,
No.
Is it fair to say that the only class you'd probably use this in is priest?
Yeah, but at that point you're playing an anti-heal bot where you pay... You have to
Right,
hero
no.
power twice over 2 turns and spend a mana extra to get the same effect and an arguably worse body.
Right. Yeah. No. Not to say that I would play this card, but if it were to see play, it'd probably be in priest. But the thing is that in this same set, we've been given many more options to heal. So we don't need to rely on a card like this. When this card was first introduced, before more cards in the set came out, people were kind of... It was still bad, but people were a little bit interested in it, right? But now we've seen other cards, like the next one that we're going to get to, and other cards in the set, even cards that Priest got, that now we're not quite worried about healing.
Not to mention anti-heal bot still exists.
Yes.
The king of healing, and I still think he's the king of healing, even with all the stuff in the set. Anyway,
Really
refreshment vendor. He's a walrus. There's some sub-themes of walrus. I love some walrus. Anyway, 4 mana, 3/5, battle cry. Restore 4 health to each hero. Arena, yes. Constructed, no.
I think constructed, yes.
Why?
Not to say that I conceive a deck for it yet, but because so a 3/5 for 4 stat wise, there's no problem with this. This is a very good anti-aggro card. In my view, this is a very good anti-aggro card. Now, I'd have to put more thought into whether or not I'd rather run this or Senjin Shieldmaster.
That's what I was thinking.
Think that
Doesn't Senjin just block more damage?
it depends on what you're facing, right? Because the Senjin Shieldmaster is not, what's the best way to put this?
Guaranteed blocking.
Well, that's one thing, right? It's not guaranteed blocking. Like, it's still vulnerable to the silence. It's still vulnerable to things like equality. So it really depends on the composition of the aggro decks that you're facing.
There is another problem with Reversion Defender, which is that because you're giving them life, you actually give them an extra top deck. Sometimes.
Sometimes, right. Well, it depends on what your win conditions
come back
are.
and bite you. The main thing is, like, if you're playing Priest or something, you do give them an extra top deck. But I wouldn't conceivably play this in Priest, but it's just an example.
Right, yeah, it depends on your win condition, right? Like, the Druids against aggro decks just sort of, like, try to grind out to an advantage. So then the extra turn definitely matters. But if you're running it now, the difficult thing is, I guess I'm leaning more towards it not being very good and constructed.
The problem is anti-heal bot exists. So if you want your healing, you play your anti-heal bot.
I think that the main theory here, though, is that if you're playing this, you're probably also playing anti-kill bot.
That's a lot of healing.
Right.
Do you need that much healing? Like, why not just play a second anti-kill bot? No aggro deck is going to burst through 2.
Hey, we don't know yet. Some of these inspired cards, man, don't count your chickens. Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Don't count your aggro before it somehow invents a card of getting past 2 anti-kill bots. Anyway, Maiden of the Lake. 4 mana, 2/6. Drummond, obviously. With your hero power costs 1, not 1 less. Put down your combo pieces, people. Just cost 1. Now, this has been shown to be absolutely hilarious with a mage card called Kodara Drake, where you get to use your hero power indefinitely and some other combo pieces. The problem is it just seems like it takes way too much effort to set up, so I'm going to say this is bad and constructed. I think it's actually playable in Arena.
2/6 body is 2/6 body before is really good.
It's not.
It's obviously not as good as Oasis Snapjaw, but as far as the body is concerned,
In Arena, that makes it playable pretty much with the hero power thing. It's nice.
right now, I think that you're underrating its effect, right? Because your hero power costing 1 with this card is a tremendously big deal when you consider that this card has 6 health, right? This card has 6 health, so it's conceivably going to live after your opponent's turn. If you play this on turn 4, it's very difficult to kill this card, and having an extra mana in Inspire decks because you want to play cards that use Inspire, having that extra mana it's actually a pretty huge deal.
It might be. The problem I have with this is that on turn 4 it's conceivably hard to kill. That is true. However, it does have one of the single lowest impacts on the board for a 4-drop after turn 4.
But we're talking about synergy here, right? Like I was like, because what were the two metrics? It's either really strong on its own for constructed, or it synergizes really well with things. This card synergizes so well with Inspire decks.
It does, but it also has the issue where you could have just played an Inspire card on this turn.
Well,
it's an issue. The problem with Maiden
it depends on the Inspire cards that are available to you at 4 mana.
The other problem is your hero power. The problem with Maiden of the Lake is like, yes, it's very synergistic. The issue with it is that you need the synergy because it's not conceivably powerful on its own in any way. Like a lot of the. Also, how many hero power synergies are you running? Like, is this like a mage deck with like 15 hero power synergies? Because like,
we're not talking like best case. We're not talking like the greediest scenario are the ones that we've seen in those show matches where the mage is just spamming hero powers.
Yeah,
right?
that's
like,
crazy.
Those are the greediest scenarios, right? I think that at a baseline, if you're able to quote unquote ramp out your hero power for 1 mana twice with this, then you've gotten incredibly good value out of Maiden of the Lake, and I think that's very conceivable to achieve.
It might be. The problem is you have to play it on turn 5 then to conceivably get it out twice, and then it's easier to kill.
I don't know. 6 health is nothing to scoff at. I think this thing is sticking for quite a bit, because what's going to happen is you're going to play other minions that are higher priority targets than this.
Yeah, I do have an issue though. It's just like it doesn't have that much impact on the board. That's my main issue with it, because 6 health is a lot, which makes it hard to kill, but 2 attack is not a large amount.
Yeah, but you know what does have impact on the board? Things like that Savage Combatant, things like...
okay, you would not play this in Druid. Don't even try and argue that.
But the point being that those other Inspire cards have Inspire effects that are so impactful on the board that it makes it worth it to run this card.
They do, but a lot of the very good Inspire cards are either good enough on their own to the point where they don't need support, or they're in classes that would never run a 4-drop that doesn't have
Imagine being able to play a Kodo Rider now. Imagine being able to play a Kodo Rider on turn 7 instead of turn 8 in order to get the War Kodo, right? Like imagine
that's powerful, but the problem is that you have to keep your Maiden of the Lake on the board for turn 7. That's gonna be difficult.
All right, well then, but we can keep getting smaller, right? Like imagine the Cavalder Raider, which we're about to get to. In fact, let's just keep going to cards, and then we can come back and talk about Maiden of the Lake if it remains relevant.
Okay, we're not talking about Cavalder Raider as a constructed like synergy, dude.
Listen,
no, I'm drawing the line somewhere.
It is conceivable, okay?
No, it is not.
We'll get there.
Alright, we have a frigid snowball to start with. Alright, another 4-mana 2/6, they like these. Spell damage. Now, again, Arena, yes, because of the body, but constructed, that's a hard to kill spell power.
It's a hard to kill. Yeah, that's the big thing with spell damage minions, right? Is that they normally had pretty bad stats for their mana cost.
Yeah, I think Rogue. If this is playing anything, it might be Rogue or something. Or actually, Mage got some spell power synergy, which is strange.
Right, and that's the thing is that there are some cards that synergize now with things just having spell damage, like Master of Ceremonies, which is an epic.
I still don't think I don't think like 4-mana 2/6s in general are particularly good and constructed. However, I could conceivably maybe see play just because there is no spell power option at 4.
Yeah, but let's be fair though. The four drop spot is pretty stacked.
Yeah, it is. So I'm gonna say no, but yeah, we need something like I don't know, a 0/4 for 2 with spell power. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a well designed card. I can get behind it.
It's also a frigid snowball.
But I'm not using it constructed, no. But yeah, it's a good arena.
Cavaldier Raider. Now before we get onto the card, what the hell is going on with that art?
I think the art is very similar to the Warlock. What's the Warlock card that gains attack and defense, attack and health when you take damage?
Oh, yeah, the floating thing. Yeah, I can't remember.
Floating Watcher.
Floating Watcher, yeah.
Right, and also there is a Holy Knight. Just throwing that one out there.
Oh, is there?
Yes.
Alright, we'll get there eventually, apparently. Cavaldier Raider. Now, it's a 5-mana 4/4 with Inspire, gain +2/+2. Now, this is a arena... This is a very, very similar card to Floating Watcher. I actually think that this is very good in arena because you can play it as a 7-mana 6/6. It gets bigger, or it's a neutral Floating Watcher. Floating Watcher is a good card in arena.
Yes.
Constructed, no.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Don't try and make your Maiden of the Lake like.
No, I mean I agree. Like the 5 drop spot is difficult to compete with, just straight up. The 5 drop spot is hard.
Very good.
and this is a lower quality 5 drop than a lot of the other options we have. So.
All right. Speaking of interesting 5 drops, Pit Fighter. It is a 5-mana 5/6. That is it.
Yep. I mean, it's about time we got this card as well, right?
We got the 5-drop Yeti finally.
Yeah, like it fits. It fits the game.
Good in arena because Yeti stat type thing.
If this were in base set, Druids would have been playing it. But
if this was in base set, I would have seen a ton of play, just like Yeti and Bolefist saw a little bit of play. Yeti saw the most because lower cost stats is more important.
And 4 drops were bad.
5 drops are awful in base set. This would have seen so much play in base set because 5 drops as a general thing were dreadful in base set. But yeah, this is not a constructed playable card. Even if it was a 5-mana 6/6, I don't think it'd be playable.
But this will easily be a top tier arena card, just like those other cards in that line are. Yeah,
it's very good.
Easily.
Again, I think Yeti is the strongest of those. Maybe Pit Fighter actually, I think might. Pit Fighter is better than Bolefist because 5/5 is really the cap in a lot of cards.
Right. So, well, you know what? Yeah, and you know what? 5 drop commons. I mean, the only other one that I can think of that's top tier is Spectral Knight.
Yeah, so there aren't that many. Yeah, I like the Pit Fighter. Anyway, Mukla's Champion. It's a monkey on a. Is that a hippo?
It looks like it. Yeah.
How's a hippo? What is with the card designs? Whoever did some of the designs on these, kudos to you. 5-mana 4/3 beast. It's a beast, guys, with a hippo.
Yep.
Inspire. Give your other minions +1/+1. No.
Yeah. It's difficult because you can see what they're getting at. This is supposed to be some sort of aggro-like card.
Just no.
But it's a 5 drop that you have to use a hero power with it.
To get your...
Like you can't even. I can't even use a Maiden of the Lake argument with this because Maiden of the Lake's not going to be in an aggro deck. So it's going to be in like a mid-range deck, and this isn't a mid-range card.
This is this is a bad card. Clockwork Knight. 5-mana 5/5 mech with a battle cry. Give a friendly mech +1/+1, which means that it can't buff itself. This is not a constructed card, right?
I think it's borderline.
I think
it's very borderline. I think it's going to be fringe. It's going to be used fringely.
Maybe as a one-off, but arena I like it. 5-mana 5/5 with possible upside.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine.
All right. Captured Jormungandr. I probably way mispronounced that because that is a Swedish word of Oracle. 7-mana 5/9 beast. That is a massive amount of health.
Yeah, it's the opposite of Corehound, except
it is
the difference
infinitely
is
better than Corehound.
Exactly, except the difference is that it's much better than Corehound, right? Because the thing is that it's not so much to say that health is worth obviously health is worth more than attack generally, But that only holds true if your
If you
attack
have
is
some
relevant.
attack, yeah.
Right, if your attack is relevant for your mana cost. That's why Mogashan Warden isn't good, right? But this card, at any mana point, 5 attack is fine. At
Because
any
5
mana
attack
point.
kills pretty much everything. I think
Right.
Jormonger is way better than the 7/7s, right? With the exception...
With the obvious exception,
Force
yes.
tank. Like, the Force Tank, I mean, it's better than the War Golem, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's better than War Golem. It's better than War Golem. Force Tech Max is an 8-drop.
8-drop, yes. It's better than, yeah.
It's a good card. I think that
it gets a bit sketchy once you get to this mana cost, though.
this can be very suitably used in budget constructed hunter decks that want to, or Beast Druid decks that are operating on a budget.
Beast Druid matter. I think Beast Druid more because it's not a very aggressive card. Also,
Right.
yeah, we've got a budget powerhouse coming up soon.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's great in Arena. I think it's very
Yeah,
good in Arena.
I really like it in Arena. Are you ready to unleash the North Sea Kraken? All right, our first neutral and actually common 9-drop. That is a lot of mana for a common.
Yes.
9 mana, 9/7. That may have the single highest stat total of any common in the game.
Yep, this is going to be in tons of budget decks for new players.
It's huge.
Yes.
Anyway, Battlecry, deal 4 damage. It's also got an insane effect.
It's a good
It
effect.
should for a 9-drop. Now,
It's a very good arena effect for sure.
it's good. Budget decks can play it. If limited was a thing, you could play it there. But it's a pretty decent arena card. It's not a fantastic arena card because it costs so much mana. I would never draw more than one of these, I think. But
Well,
I think
yeah.
having one is really nice. It's always a 2, maybe even 3 for 1.
Yeah, I mean, when you're drafting arena, you only want like 3 or 4 bombs, right?
And this is one of
those,
them.
yeah, those bombs are hard to come by. They actually don't come by as often as you'd like them to. So this is comfortably one of those bombs, and it's common. So now you can more reliably get late drops in arena. That's good.
Yep, and it means that you don't automatically lose to that one guy who got a legendary.
Exactly. Yeah.
Alright, onto the rares. Injured Cavalier. 1 mana, 2/4, Battlecry. Deal 3 damage to this minion. You are the worst injured blade monster in the game.
Yeah, it's a bad card for both constructed and
It's
arena.
awful. It's a 1 mana, 2/1, which is bad for arena and in constructed. I remember someone saying it's like you can heal it in priest. I'm like, nice 3 mana, 2/3 you got there.
Yeah. You don't have to heal in priest. A zombie child.
Yeah.
Straight up.
You know what else? You don't have to use a circle of healing on to get a 2.
Right. Like the best use I can see for this card is with ancestral healing, because it also gives it taunt. That is the best synergy for this card. Better than with priest, but it's still bad.
Bad card. Anyway.
Yes.
Argent Watchman, 2 mana, rare, 2/4 with can't attack with Inspire, can attack this turn as normal. I'm gonna just throw this out there. If this was a 3/4, I would think about it.
Same. Yeah, but this card's bad.
It's
Let's move
very
on.
bad. It is
Bad for both.
like someone saying it's like replaces Ancient Watcher, and I'm like, what part of this says wipe your opponent's board with a Shadow Flame?
Exactly. Every deck that uses Ancient Watcher either uses it as a really fat body, uses it to silence and hit for a ton, or uses it to Shadow Flame.
Argent
And
Watchman does none of the above.
Yes.
Oh god, it's awful. I like the design, but it needed to be a 3/4.
This probably looks cool as a golden card, though.
You know what's really depressing about this card? There's a priest card where if you have a dragon in your hand, it's 2 mana, 2/4 with taunt.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
I was looking at this and I'm like, there's someone who did not put this up. Yeah, basically the stat line average is getting bigger,
Yep.
which means that it needs to be a 3/4 basically with a drawback. This is a
Yes.
more severe drawback than some of the 3/4s and 4/3s too in classes. Anyway. Fencing Coach. That's a funny name to have on a card. 3 mana, 2/2 rare, Battlecry. Your next hero power, next time you use your hero power. Your next hero power costs 2 less. Basically, you get a free hero power. I'm going to say this is bad.
Okay, so I've been thinking a lot about this card. And what is one thing that, like, you've touched on this enough yourself, that has bothered you about Inspire cards, is that you want it to either be strong on its own without the Inspired effect, or strong enough, rather, or you want it to have an Inspire effect that can
Makes it good.
that makes a significant impact on the game. Now you don't have to wait a turn for the next Inspire effect to come.
Oh snap! You just have to spend 3 mana instead of 2.
Well, no, I mean like you're spending 3 mana on a 2/2 body, right? That's definitely behind the stats that you want.
Way behind.
But there are certain cards like what's the Wolf and Frizzlebang, the new Warlock legendary.
Yeah.
Now you can conceivably play this before that Fizzlebang and then have that on turn 6 to draw that card instead of waiting for turn 8. That's a significant shift. That's a very significant swing.
Yeah,
now, is that enough to justify playing the card in Constructed? Probably not.
You have to play a 3 mana 2/2.
Yeah, probably not. But before, when I first saw it, I thought it was bad. Now I think it's borderline.
I think I could conceivably play it in like a pure Inspire deck because it's a 3-drop that ramps out your Inspire on turn 4. But it's like the problem is that when you don't have the Inspire on curve and you have it way later, then you just play the 3 mana 2/2.
Right. Well, yes. Yeah. I think that the potential for an unbalanced turn resulting from this card, because an unbalanced turn on turn 3 that you have introduced by playing a 2/2 on turn 3 isn't as impactful as an unbalanced turn on turn 5 where you play some card with an Inspire deck with an Inspire effect that actually dramatically impacts the game at that point, right?
Maybe. I think it might see some play. I think it's going to have some tinkering to do with it. I've got a feeling it will just not be good enough in the end.
Yeah, I'm not willing to confidently say that it's bad in Constructed. I think it's borderline.
Okay. All right. Colosseum Manager, 3 mana, 2/5 with Inspire. Return the minion to your hand. Return this minion to your hand. This is the strangest design on the card in the entire set.
This might be one of the worst cards in the set.
It might be, because it actually is a 3 mana 2/5 with a drawback. I know it's not supposed to be a drawback, because the idea is you can reset it, but no, just drawback. It is a really bad one, in fact. It shuts down your hero power.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it's really bad.
Terrible. It's what you play off your opponent plays Saboteur. Anyway, 3 mana 4/3 Saboteur Battlecry. Your opponent's hero power costs 5 more next turn. You are not a Loatheb. Stop trying to impersonate him.
Yeah, I think the thing about this though is that a 3 mana 4/3 is fine, right?
In Arena, yes.
Yes. I mean, yeah, because like in Arena is where the stats matter more.
In Constructed,
right?
3 mana 4/3s needs abilities to be playable, because 4/3 is worse than 3/4 because of trading and things like that, which means you got some 3 mana 4/3s with some pretty outstanding effects that don't see that much play, like making secrets cost 0.
Yeah, the problem is that this is a tech card, right? It's a tech card
hero power
against the hero power. That's what makes it bad. Even so, I can't. Even if every deck that I see on the ladder was an Inspire deck,
I would not play this.
Then I'm not sure I'm playing this card.
The best thing about Saboteur is you gotta play it against someone who's like, alright, I can kill him next turn with combo, Force Nature, Saboteur combo, play Saboteur so he can't ping me, and play like a Frostbolt, and then you just go Fencing Coach, ping you.
Right.
It's gonna happen at some point. I'm just like,
or they play this, and then your opponent plays Maiden of the Lake.
Oh god. Oh, that's a slap in the face.
Yes.
Alright, bad in Constructed, good in Arena, because 3 mana 4/3.
I mean, bad in Constructed, and it's okay in Arena.
It's not as good as a 3/4 is the problem. Right,
it's okay in Arena. Like Spellbreaker is the best 4/3 in Arena, right? That's a 4-drop, so maybe this is fine.
Light's Champion, 3 mana 4/3 with Battlecry, Silence a Demon. To be honest, the problem with Light's Champion and Constructed at least is it's a tech card against demons, where you can silence their Battlecry drawbacks.
Right. I think the drawback that you can only silence a demon is worth the 1 mana discount from Spellbreaker, but Spellbreaker wasn't seen in Constructed before. And
it won't be now. The problem with this card is that, the only demon you actually want to conceivably silence besides Morganas, I guess, is Imp Gang Boss. It kills Imp Gang Boss. And
Imp Gang Boss and Void Walker.
I guess
Void
Caller.
Yeah,
Void Caller, that's it. The one that summons things, not the one that walks around.
Right.
Or, I guess, all the voids, the terror as well, throw it in there. So that's conceivable. The problem is you also silence their new toy, being their 4 mana 2, their 4/3 for 2 that takes damage and it relays it to the hero, which means you have to play this on turn 3 and then you silence their drawback.
Right.
Oh, that's painful.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a tech card. It's difficult to justify tech cards in Constructed because they generally make the quality of your deck worse.
They have to be absurd, like Kazan Mystic.
Exactly. Yeah, because Kazan Mystic, Harrison Jones, they need to be really strong and game changing. Silencing is not a game changing effect ever.
It's never has. I say never. It has been in the past in like base set Constructed.
Yeah. Nowadays, if for it to be really impactful, it needs to be able to silence your opponent's entire board.
Or
that
Keeper
is
of the Grove and kill stuff.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah. Anyway. Also, this should have been called Holy Knight. There's another one coming up. Anyway, Armored War Horse, 4 mana, 5/3 with Battle Cry. Reveal a minion in each deck, also known as Joust. If yours costs more, gain charge. This is a beast. Now, this card perplexes me because the way Joust works is based on minion cost, which means that you'll want to be playing Joust cards in a control deck. So this is a very, very elaborate and random removal spell. However, a 5/3 for 4 with charge is very good in an aggro deck that will never get the trigger. Which means that the poor horse, just like the fact that he lost his rider, is a bit confused.
Yeah. This is
playable in Arena, right? The stats are decent and it might get charge.
Yeah.
I could conceivably pick this, I think.
I'm not going to feel good about drafting this in Arena.
No.
It's a rare. Like, just straight up. Like, it's a rare.
There are some awful rares, dude.
I will say, though, the quality of rares has definitely gotten worse with the set. So, that is something to consider.
That's actually true. The rares are terrible.
Yes.
At least the neutral ones. But this is not seeing constructed play, right?
No.
It's confused.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not a good card. You're not going to feel good about picking it in Arena. Though you might have to more often than you're going to have to pick Injured Cavaldir. But...
Yeah. Alright, Master Jouster. 6 mana, 5/6 with Battlecry. Joust. Gain Taunt and Divine Shield. Now, I'm going to say Constructed no, because Sunwalker isn't playable anyway, other than a random one. However, Arena, I really like this card in Arena.
In Arena, it's great. However, in Arena,
it is
incredibly unlikely that you're going to win the Joust.
Half the time, yeah.
Right? Mainly because this is going to be on the higher end of your curve when you're playing it, right? So, but a 6 mana 5/6 is also still okay with the potential upside, so that's good.
Yeah, and the potential upside is massive. I think I'd pick the Sunwalker over this, though, in Arena. I think Sunwalker is reliable. That's the main thing.
Yeah. I think it's close. It's really good. That's the point. It's really good.
It's a good card. If we're debating Sunwalker versus it, then yeah, it's a good card. Now, as far as Constructed goes, I've had some people talk about this, and I'm just like, I remember talking to a certain person in Vegas Squadron who disagrees with everything. About just like, it's like, oh look, it's a bigger Sunwalker, and I'm like, you're playing Sunwalker. This is news to me.
That's the thing, and also even Constructed. What kind of deck are you running where you're counting on winning the Joust and you feel okay about it?
There is
actually,
Taunt decks would not play this because you're probably playing Druid and they have a plethora of taunts they can call on.
Right, and not only that, but just like even then, like half of your drops are low, and I don't want to have a 6 mana 5/6 50% of the time. I'd want to have Taunt and Divine Shield. Like I'd want to be able to hit that Joust about 3/4 of the time. And then your deck is probably not going to win a lot of games.
What's annoying about this is the Divine Shield is at its best against Warrior, but you're never going to win the Joust against Warrior.
Yeah.
Unless you get like an Armor Smith or something.
Yes, it is a very effective anti-aggro card for sure, but Sunwalker is just as effective.
And when it's not,
it gets silenced. So it doesn't really help much.
Alright, so rares have not been on a high note as far as Constructed playables. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish the rares out on the highest note we possibly can. Mogur's Champion. 6 mana, 8/5 with the ogre effect, the 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy. Why did they bring this back?
Yeah.
Why?
I do like the 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy effect. I think that that effect is a really cool effect, and I'm okay with it. The problem is the minions that they're putting them on suck. So, and more
the only half decent one is Ogre Ninja.
Yeah, Ogre Ninja is the best one with the effect. Just yeah, this card is not good. Now, here's the thing, though. One thing that I want to mention is that I think that the possibility of a potentially really strong Wailing Soul deck is being made very apparent by this set.
Not with this card, though.
Not with this card. Not with this card. Yeah, for sure not.
Big
with this
Game
card,
Hunter says hi.
Yeah, but there are quite a bit of drawbacks that would be that would make for very good minions once silenced away with a Wailing Soul. So I think Wailing Soul Druid might make a comeback.
Wailing Soul is a sleeper card. It will be good eventually, I think. I mean, it has to be good before 4-drops become standardized 4/5s or something, but when they become Yetis with effects, then, yeah. But anyway, the point is currently 3/5 is the standard, which means Wailing Soul can still work. Let's just hope it doesn't become 4/5 at any point.
As far as Mogre's Champion is concerned, would you play this for 5 mana?
No.
I think I'd consider it just as often as I'd consider playing Fell Reaver at 5 mana.
It's way worse than Fell Reaver.
No, it's worse. It's worse. But
it has a worse drawback, less stats, and is not a mech.
Fair. Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
4 mana. Okay. Alright, I'll play the Ogre
here is
for 4.
The greatest benefit of this card. You ready? It baits out BGH before you play Dr.
Oh,
Boom.
don't go there. That's the amount of times I've heard people use the argument. I'm just like, so what you're saying is that you baited out BGH with a 5-drop and he keeps a 4/2. That's like the worst argument in the world. I've heard some people legitimately use it though.
You baited it out with a 6-drop. This card costs 6.
And the best one I've seen was like, Dr. Boom baits out BGH for Ragnaros. And I'm like, what? No!
No, yeah. No, that is a poor argument. For sure.
It's
a bad card.
The amount of people I've seen use that though is depressing.
What's funny is that the best ogre is still Boulderfist Ogre. Boulderfist Ogre is still the king of all ogres.
That's not entirely true.
Name an ogre that's better than Boulderfist.
In Arena, no. I think Ogre Brute is arguably better. Ogre Ninja is decent.
Okay, actually,
I think Ogre Ninja is better than Boulderfist.
Yes, Ogre Ninja is better than Boulderfist.
So we've concluded that the king of the ogres is in fact not Mogre the ogre, it is Ogre Ninja, the guy who disguises himself as a tree.
But ultimately, this guy riding a crocodile, Mogre's champion is
that a crocodile?
Like a crocodile rhino hybrid.
What is up with the mounts?
Yeah.
Can we just, before we sign off on this video, let's just go through some of the mounts here. We've got someone who lost a horse.
Yes.
We've got, let's see, what else do we have? We have a griffin who refuses to attack, apparently. Maybe he just does not like landing. We've got a hippo, we have a mechanical horse.
Yeah, we have a clockwork gnome on top of a mechanical horse.
Yeah. It's like, what happened to your spare part? It was used to put them together. We've got... Are there any other mounts? We've got an Argent Horse Rider with a horse so large you can't even... What?
Is that Boneguard Lieutenant? Is he like surfing on icicles? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah. I have no idea what's happening there. There's
Also,
some strange mounts.
the Holy Knight
Jouster. Have you seen that?
Yes. I have. The Holy Knight thing, it turns out that Holy Knight was actually Light's champion, and I think that it was mistranslated before.
Oh, right, yeah, so, yeah. Alright, that makes sense. Anyway, so that concludes our commons and rares. That's an hour of going over commons and rares. We're doing the epics and legendaries in the video after this, and then we will do one class per... Well, we'll do 9 videos of classes, which will probably be about 20 minutes each, and those will be from Druid all the way down to... Is it Warrior this last? Yes. So anyway, thank you for joining me in the first of a marathon of videos, Lineman.
Yep, no problem, man.
But as for now, thank you for watching, and tune in for the second part of this 11-part set review. Bye.